DJ with Jonathan Miles.
Now, this time last week I was very, very sore and groggy. Not because I'd been on the gin or the beer, but because I'd just undergone a biopsy to check for prostate cancer. I say it openly because I once had to interview a group of men who'd survived it, and they talked with humour about what they'd been through, which they hoped would prompt others to go and get checked if need be. I therefore submit to you my NHS experience of being probed. I'd been prompted to talk to the doctor because I thought I was weeing out more than I took in. So, they checked me flow, which entails weeing into a funnel over a beaker which is connected to a Bluetooth thing. I'd met the latex glove, and it had met me. Takes about 3 seconds, knees up, hold breath, done. Think of the gloved finger men as you would having to watch a rom-com with an overly huggy partner. You have to go through it, or you'll have to go shoe shopping. Men think that's the worst bit. Let me tell you, it's nothing compared to having met Mr. Catheter and its after effects. So, flow done, glove done, MRI done, the next step, the biopsy. I arrived last Friday with the attending nurse asking me every question under the sun. While I was having a general anaesthetic, you see. She asked questions like, do you smoke? How many? Have you ever owned a Cocker Spaniel? Do you eat spam? General things. After this, I gowned up, stockinged up, and put on the most unappealing hospital pants that have ever been commissioned. Who knew there were hospital pants? But there are, and made of paper to boot. They were very roomy. Not so you could get a family of 4 in, but maybe the remnants of a kebab for when you're hungry, and possibly a Twix for later at the very least. After this, I waited, with 3 other men, 1 cute, 2 not so much, all gowned up to see the consultant. Not, I have to say, that talent spotting was really on my agenda that morning. We all waited in a very large waiting room, whose feature was a TV showing Bargain Hunt. Crikey, that Scottish female presenter is a force of nature. But then she's a Sagittarius like me. Anita Manning from Glasgow. I can imagine her as a dominatrix spanking Jacob Rees-Mogg at prep school for, well, whatever really. Don't ask me where that thought came from. I shall now erase it and compose myself to tell you the rest, which I shall do after Stevie on UDJs. Thank God he stopped talking. I know, don't he go on?
UDJ.
Style Council and Stevie. I'm Jonathan Miles, the little sparrow pecking at the great fat ball they call life. Now, where was I before walls come tumbling and if you really love me? Ah, yes, my prostate biopsy last week. To recap, there was the possibly weeing too much, so I thought, which brought me to my predicament. There was the flow test, the glove finger, the MRI, the questioning by the nurse, and then the dressing in hospital fancy dress. The gowns, non-sequined, donning stockings and NHS pants. All necessary, I get, but again, paper pants? Ugh. Then I waited with 3 others. Like warriors we were, waiting to be called to battle, whilst watching Bargain Hunt. Whilst we sat in the most uncomfortable straight-backed chairs ever. Whose idea, when you're already uncomfortable, was it to order straight-backed, high, so your knees ached chairs in a waiting room? I do hope, as they one day await their own procedure, that the person who ordered said chairs sits in one and rues the day they thought the chairs would be comfy. Now they should be spanked by Anita Manning from Bargain Hunt. So, I see the consultant, a jolly Indian man who had my prostate spread out on his screen for all to see. Looks like you've got cancer, or words to that effect, he said. Wasn't expecting that nugget. Well, if it is cancer, it's easily treatable, he jollily intoned. Easy for you to say, dear, I thought. You're not the one whose libido could be as much a thing of the past as diplomacy in America. I'm still processing that one. Will there be any side effects after this, I ask. No, said jolly consultant, you'll be fine. Oh, he was so wrong. The next nugget from said jolly man's lips, you need a suppository. Oh, do I? Said I. At this point, I reverted to being 7. What am I supposed to do? I asked the nurse. Pop 'em in and wait, she said. In where? I asked, hoping for a pill. Well, you know where suppositories go. And so it was that in a small room with a loo, I hitched up me gown in an undignified fashion and fought and fiddled with 2 lubed-up bullets, which I dropped several times in my fight too. Don't they act quickly? And so back to the waiting room for 4 hours whilst the jolly consultant probed 3 others before me. There is a little more, but I thought I'd split it up and play a song. Has he finished telling us about this yet? It's all about him today, isn't it? I just thought I'd share. Excuse me for it. This is Train on UDJs.
DJ.
And so I return to my story of a prostate biopsy, for there is just a little more. Where'd we get to? Well, to recap, there was the possibly weeing too much, so I thought, which brought me to my predicament. There was the flow test, the glove finger, the MRI, the questioning by the nurse, and then the dressing in hospital fancy dress, the gowns, donning stockings and NHS pants, paper, again. Ew. The meeting with the consultant before theatre where he told me it looked like I might have cancer, but he'd see when the results came back. Sets you up for it, doesn't it? Oh, and there was the suppository dance. I won't recap that. A joyous romp so far then, but better to know. So I went to theatre, which I had to walk to, no trolley for me, and was out for the count after asking the standard, will I wake up question, that is. And then I went, and thankfully woke. On waking up, and this is the worst part of the whole thing, camera in the tunnel of doom. Okay, needle up the perineum. Look it up, I won't go into it now. Okay-ish, except for sitting for a week. Going for a wee on waking. Hold onto it for a week, I advise you now. Jolly consultant had only put a catheter in and not told me, which resulted in the feeling that I was trying to pass needles rather than the remnant of a sip of water. Women everywhere are now saying, needle up the perineum with resulting soreness? Welcome to childbirth. A catheter? Welcome to cystitis. Although I have to say, at least the general anaesthetic made my tense shoulder muscles relax, and for 2 days I felt I was troubled by nothing. But for the past week, sitting and weeing, not at the same time, have been a thing I wanted to do as much as I want to have a slug sandwich. I will reiterate that I was told I'd have no side effects. Wrong! Of course your experience may have been or be different to mine, but for the second time, A, you'll be sore for a while, a couple of weeks I was told when I went back to the ward to check I was okay. So I suggest a lot of laying down with Netflix. B, for the third time, weeing, ouch! It's kind of like trying to pass needles, lasts for about 2 days after. Nouch you can do, it hurts, grit your teeth. Imagine you being tortured for your bank account login. You won't tell them, it does get better. Finally, C. Doing what boys do in the nether region area is not, I say again, not a good idea, both for the healing of the prostate because of what they did, and for you. I thought I'd get back in the saddle, so to speak. Foolish, Jonathan. Not only did it make the undercarriage doubly sore again, but the urethra, already numb, doesn't really give you feeling. Here's the oogie part. That which you normally get out is, how shall I put this? Okay, to be frank, full of blood. What was white isn't. So I suggest at least a 3-week rest when it comes to any nether region action. Think of it as something which might break were you to touch it. I had to ring my sister, a slightly medical woman, because I was like, look what's come out. Imagine that, chat. Caroline, and it's produced. I'm 57. Imagine that, chat. She said, I'll do some checking. Came back with the facts, and it's natural, and we just have to deal with it. I double-checked with the hospital, and they said, avoid contact. So now there's a large sign on it saying, touch at your peril. It's wrapped in cotton wool, bless it. I talked to it, telling it it'll be fine soon, and back to full action before it knows it. The fact that it hasn't seen action since God was a boy is neither here nor there. It comforts it. There you have it all now, pet. Men, though, you can handle this. Any worries, go get checked. Don't be like a friend whose doctor said to him, you have no symptoms, why would you want to get checked? Get it done. Think of it as part of your regime. Cut toenails and fingernails, pluck eyebrows, apply moisturiser, have prostate checked. Results in 4 to 6 weeks, drink gin. Well, 24 hours after a general, but you get my thrust. Thank goodness for the NHS, though. Quick and the loveliest people, so thank you to all. And now I wait with crossed fingers. By the way, you will feel like this is all happening to someone else. I'm watching this go on. I'm watching this go on. Is this me? No, it can't be. It isn't. Oh, it is! Cry yourself a river pet and carry on as best you can, like. Just thought it all bore a mention. That's bore as in thought I'd mention it, and not bore as in I bore through a mountain, or I hope I didn't bore you. Good luck.
You, DJ.